Good morning. What a wonderful morning it is. Shem Asachim to learn on Sunday morning to start off our week good. So there's 3 points in this that are connected to this week's Parsha. First thing is, this week's Parsha has to do with building the Beis HaMikdash. There was something that happened recently. It was 2 weeks ago that a rock came down, tumbling down from the Koisel Marsov. It's unusual. I mean, for all the years something like that didn't happen. There was a story published. There's a woman that comes to daven close to that place every morning. She comes like before Alois Hashach. It was early in the morning. She passed the place. She sat down to say a Dillim, and she saw the thing coming down. So there's an interesting shayla that was asked to Rabbi Yashiv. It's drawn in the Sefer Varedno. Woman, there was a guy that owned a chain of hotels in America. His wife was very sick. He heard that there's a special segula with the rocks of the Koisel Marsov. So he had a Jewish friend in Israel. He gave him a call. He said, maybe you can chisel me a little piece of rock and send it to me. So Nebuch he went and did it. He went at night and he took a quiet place and he had a little piece of rock and he sent it to him. So the guy in America got the rock. He was really excited. He put it under his wife's pillow at night. Next morning, she didn't wake up.
Next morning, what?
She didn't wake up next morning. She died.
Wow.
So, and the Sid said that ever since he's having a lot of tzoros himself, and he feels that it has to do with this. Maybe he did something wrong. So, the Yasha said, yeah, Avadi did something wrong, and he tell him how to do tshuva. So he says 3 points. One is this week's Parsha. In today's Chitas it says, you should smash and break their altars in the temples for Avodah Zarah, for the idols, but you're not allowed to do that in God's home. So, and the Shulchan Aruch even brings, in the Rechaim and Kufim Bez, that you're not allowed to break anything in a shul. You're not allowed to break anything in a shul because a shul is a mikdash miyat. And there's a different, the Sheilos and Shuvas Rechaim that says that's the Iraisa. But everyone agrees that that's the din. You're not allowed to break it. So people don't realize that. Very careful when it comes to a shul. It's not only belongs to us. It belongs to the Eibishter. It belongs to Hashem. We dedicated it to Hashem.
גם למטרת שיפוץ?
למטרת שיפוץ מותר. זה מותר.
נגיד סתם דוגמה, אני רוצה להזיז קיר לבית הכנסת. לשיפוצים מותר.
שיפוצים מותר. It's fixed. And that's why there's a beautiful sikha from the Rebbe that has to do with the 3 weeks. The Rebbe says that it's us, the Eibishter has to keep the mitzvahs too. How is the Eibishter allowed to destroy the Beis HaMikdash? And the Tatzim is b'choisem. So the Rebbe says that there's only one time it's mutter to break something in a shul. If you're planning to rebuild something nicer. So because it was so Yisrael Manas Livnus, the Eibishter wanted to rebuild the third Beis HaMikdash. So it was so Yisrael Manas Livnus. Chas v'shalom was just out of anger. It was so Yisrael Manas Livnus. So here it said at Rabbi Yashiv, number 1, it's a Yisur to break anything from even a Beis HaMikdash Ma'at, Kol Shekem, from the original, from the Beis HaMikdash itself. Number 2, he said there was a Yisur Gzela. Who paid for the building of the Beis HaMikdash? The Rambam says that there was only Jewish contributions. The Goyim wanted to contribute. The Jews said no. No. They wouldn't take any contributions from Goyim. It only must be contributions from Jews. And that only went from the Shiori Alishka, whatever they had from the Machtas HaShekel, and whatever donations people gave. That was mamish from the Tzibur. Now, the Gemara says there's an interesting Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Originally, they wanted to say that all the coins, the Adrian coins, the Romans, they have coins like you have coins that have Benjamin Franklin, George Washington. Yeah. So all the coins in Rome that had Adrian, they wanted to say it's also
Adrian?
Adrian, Hadrianus, Adrian.
Yes.
Emperor.
Yeah, the emperor was the biggest sign of
He
Israel.
built Adrian's wall in England.
Yeah, one of the biggest Marsov. Yeah.
גוי יכול לבנות בכנסת?
זה שאלה. אבל...
כאילו לעבוד בכנסת יהודי, אבל אם הוא יכול לעבוד לבנות אותו.
זה לא בעיה, אפילו בבית המקדש היו פועלים גויים. זה לא בעיה.
אוקיי.
Right, that was much later.
That was very late.
Well, that's a question. Maybe he's a convert. How kosher was the conversion? Right, right. So that was the question. Akaponim, when they destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, they took so much gold and silver from the Beis Hamikdash. Chazal said that the majority of the coins, you know how much historians say that in the Roman Empire, every 10th man was a Jew. And they were very influential. Adrian was a son of Yisrael. He saw that the influence of the Jews is very powerful. He hated the Jew. Chazal said that they shouldn't take a fight with this guy, Adrian. History would have, if they listened to what Chazal said, who knows, it would have been very different. Jews had a very, very strong influence in the entire world, and that there was a huge Jewish population, and there was a lot of wealth. Yes, every time. Yes. Right. The Rebbe writes in a letter that proportionately, the starts in the second Beis Hamikdash, how many Jews were killed, were worse even than the Holocaust. Just to give you an idea. So, Rahman al-Islam. So they wanted to make that the coins should be also because Meila, they took it from the base. Where did they steal all that gold and silver from? From Hektish. They melted it. All these kalim in the base of Mikdash are made of pure gold, and a lot of them were silver. So then the Chazal found obviously that wouldn't be a very good thing for Jews. Chazal said that you're not allowed to use any Adrian coins. It was, you'd have to move on to mountaintops and start bartering, milk for orange juice. You can't use the money. You know how hard it is to live without currency. We go back to barter society. I'll give you a goat. You give me you'll give me a couch. So Chazal found the pasuk. It says, "Bo poritzim ve'chalaluah," and because the poritzim came and the Beis Hamikdash, the machal, they took away the sanctity of the Beis Hamikdash. They desecrated the Beis Hamikdash, so the sanctity is not there anymore. So they said it's not Me'ilah. It's Gezeilah maybe, but it's not Me'ilah. So here, they brought it out from the pasuk. They brought it out from the pasuk. No, they said that out from the pasuk. Both poritzim v'chalaluah. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes they bring guys who should know. It's an interesting thing. Is not misuse of funds. It's using any funds or any object that belongs to God. Belongs to the Beis Hamikdash or to the synagogue.
So why wasn't it
Because it was desecrated, the kedusha came off of it. The holiness fell off of it. So, but said that Aval Yashiv, however, the Chazal never said that it's not Gezeilah. So this Koisel Maravah was built originally by the money of all the Jewish people. It belongs to the Tzibur. So he said that's Gezeilah. Number 3, he said, there's a third issue, which is that the Gemara says that's Halacha Shirdei, it's a fine test, that you're not allowed, for example, if a baby is sick, and you're going to Mishigas and say, when you bring the Sefer Torah and you put it next to the baby, everyone's also to do that. Because with Torah, sure, a person is allowed to say Tehillim, go to the Tziyah, go to the oil, because he's talking to Hashem, asking Hashem Tehillim, the schus of saying Tehillim, that's not wrong. But to turn it into like some voodoo thing, like a kameya, turn the Sefer, they're not allowed to do that. Torah, it's also the Serapah of the Divrei Torah, not allowed to make a joke out of the Torah. For sure.
Bring the baby to the shul.
Bring a baby to the shul, to kiss the Torah, but not to use it as if it's a charm, a medical charm. So here also, we're not tefillah. Like these Russians have all these mishigas, umbrella in the house, and here, like all these. So, millions of these, like the Shagas. They chased out religion and they brought instead of superstition instead. So, so the third thing he said, it's using Divrei Torah l'sraf Divrei Torah. Anyway, he said, what should the person do in order to do tshuva? Well, the Yashivik suggested three things. Number one, if you can get the stone back, you should bring it back and glue it in a way that's, tight. It's not visibly. If he knows the place, he can put it back. Number two, we see that a lot of times about tshuva, when he said the person should go around telling the story to everyone, because that's also from the ways of doing tshuva, and also the people should know the seriousness of the kedusha of the place of Maravi. And number three, he said he should give a big sum of money to towards writing a Sefer Torah. Why? Because he said an interesting thing. We find the Gemara says a story of Hurdus and of Sheilos. And Hurdus was scared that when he was a tyrant, he was scared that the sages would be against him. He went and he killed all the Chacham. He left him Sheilos and he made him blind. He wanted one day to test what the Sheilos thinks about it. So they disguised him. Yeah, only one. So one thing, the younger students, from all the prestigious sages, from all the elders, he killed everyone. So, sorry, the Baba Ben Buta. So he blinded the Baba, and he came there once to talk to him. He disguised himself, and so no one knew who entered to talk to the Baba. And he said, and he started saying, this guy, this king Hurdus, he's a slave. He decided he's a king. Sheilos said, so what should I do? He says, curse him. Yeah. So he said, no. If the pasuk says, even in your private places, you shouldn't curse the king. You shouldn't. Yeah. So he said, the Nasi, you shouldn't curse the Nasi. So he said, Nasi ba'amcha. So Hurdus was a little bit of David Chochem. He said, Ba'oisa ma'isa amcha. Only a Nasi ba'amcha, a Nasi that's a proper Nasi, not a bandit like this guy Hurdus. Hurdus himself is like that. Hurdus himself. So he said, so Sheilos said, Baba Buddha said, no, I'm sorry. It says, Oifa Shemayim Yerlechas HaKoil. If I'm going to tell you something, you're going to tell it to someone else, and then the word will get out. So I'm not going to talk to you. So Hurdus said, you know what? I'm really Hurdus, and I regret that I killed all the sages. If I realized how careful the sages are, and it would have been an asset. I would have had people that would be smart and wise and could advise me. So I want to do tshuva for killing them. So Sheilos said, yeah, I'm sorry. Baba Buddha said, you extinguished the light of the world by killing the sages, so you should rebuild the light of the world. Which the Beis HaMikdash was, the second Beis HaMikdash was not built with such splendor as the first. Rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash. How about the Romans might be angry at me? So he gave him a whole advice on what to do, how to take care of the Romans. The Romans shouldn't be angry about it, and they should build intensively. It should be done within 3 years. They should do it. They destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. They're allowed to do it because someone else lived this. They entirely destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Yep. And they rebuilt it from scratch. And the sages say it was gorgeous. Mishalo Yoro Binyan. This Binyan Yoro Binyan Miyama. Didn't see the splendor, the gorgeousness of this building. You've never seen something so beautiful in a lifetime.
So you mature.
Even today, if you go, for example, a tour in the Koisel Maravi, they have a tour in the tunnels. They show you that it's like a marvel of how 2,200 years ago they built something like this. I mean, this is only a little part of the outside wall. This is not even the wall of the Beis HaMikdash, the wall of the Harabayis, the little section of it. They say it's like Pile Ploim, how they built something like this. So that was it. So he said that Rabbi Yashiv said, we see that these two things are compared, the Torah and the Beis HaMikdash. So Hurdus destroyed the Torah, he rebuilt the Beis HaMikdash. You took a Beis HaMikdash, so donate some money to write a Sefer Torah. Next Shiloh. I mentioned the Shiloh on Shabbos morning.
The big woman.
Yeah. I'll tell it over again quickly because of a few people who are not here Shabbos. A woman called me this week. So, her daughter lives in Boca Raton. Her daughter called her a couple of years ago and said, why are you living on the Opens, wherever you live? Come live here in Florida, nice. I'll take care of you the rest of your days. It's really nice. She said, I'll find you an apartment, found an apartment. First she did put down a down payment. It turns out that they don't want to give mortgages to old people. So she paid in cash for the entire apartment. There was a little caveat there. She had loaned her daughter $15,000 before that. The daughter, and then she was a little short for the last $10,000 for the apartment. The daughter said, I'll give you the $10,000. She owed her anyway. She said, but I want you to write a will that this apartment goes to me after you're done. Figured her daughter's going to take care of her. Why not? She says, this woman is in good health. She's a very sharp woman. She's an elderly woman, very sharp. She says it's a disaster. She's there for a few years. She feels her daughter is very disrespectful, controlling. She gave me an example. They went the other day to a restaurant. The waitress comes with a little more coffee. She puts her hand on the cup. This lady already had enough. So she says she's not. And now her daughter. She found that her daughter has her credit. It has her all information. So she opened the credit card in her name and she put on charge at $30,000. She's paying the minimum. And she says she's without her permission.
She has other kids.
She has other kids. She has other kids. Now the daughter says that she gave her a list of jewelry she wants it to add to the will that she wants. Now this lady said it was a little over the top, and she wants to change her will altogether. She wants to change her will altogether. Now she read that according to Judaism, if you promise something to someone, it's unethical or not permissible to change your word. You promise something. She promised the daughter she'll give her the apartment, right? So now she wants to change her will that all her kids should split everything equally, and that's it. She doesn't want any. Everyone gets everything equal, and that's it. Which I think is fair. It's not like a lot of people do it today. It's important to note that today, by the way, we're finishing to learn the Rambam. It's yesterday, Sefer Mishpatim, which finishes with Halachas of Yerusha. It's important to note, and maybe we'll do this in another shir, when it comes to a will, that this is something. If you do anything different than the Torah says, you have to give it as a gift, as a Yerusha. So, for example, if you have only daughters and you want them to split equally, it's no shiloh. That's what the Torah says. If you have a few sons and a few daughters and you want to split it equally, then you have to give it as a matana, not a Yerusha. You have to give it as a matana because you can't change the laws of Yerusha. Well, for example, you have an older son and he has to get Pishnayim. You don't want the Shemit Machlokas in the family. You want it should be equal. You have to give it as a matana. You can't give it as a Yerusha. You can't change the laws of
difference.
Huh?
The Lisa, how is one different from the other?
One is valid contract and one is an unvalid contract.
When the nifter, when they look at the will of the nifter, and you said it's a gift, not a inheritance, what would be?
No difference. No difference. There might be some remote differences if there's a balchoiv that has
the language of the will.
The language of the will. Yes, the language of the will. Yeah, I understand well. So now, she paid. The mother paid for the apartment. The mother paid. No, it wasn't the daughter. So she asked me if it's kosher to change her will. That's the bottom line. And if her idea was right to split it equally between all her children. I said I think it's a good idea between all the children to split equal. Why not? Even though they're sons and daughters. It's a very, very common thing today that people do. A lot of people even ask their sons in their lifetime to be meichel them. They'll call in their sons and say, I ask you, please be meichel, and I want to give everyone equal. The sisters and the brothers should get equal.
So change the will of the Torah?
Huh?
Is not against the will.
It's not against the will of the Torah. If you're going to call on your children and say, "I want to be shalom," and I ask you, Reuven and Shimon, for please be boichel, and I just want to give everyone as a gift. You're allowed to give it as a
I
gift.
understand, but the Torah itself says that you should give to the sons. Now, if
The Torah is a default position. What should happen? But your person is allowed to give a gift.
it's
You
almost
can't
like that's
say,
what the Torah
you can't tell a
wants.
person.
The Torah wants that.
No, the Torah wants it should be a setup of a default position of what should happen. Torah doesn't. We can't say a person should. If a person's an elderly man and he has a child that's being married, don't splurge too much money. You spend so much money on this wedding. What happens? Then there's nothing left in your inheritance. Right? Don't buy any gifts. Now you're in your 90s. You don't have that much money left in the bank. No gift to the grandchildren.
Doesn't say
It
that.
doesn't.
Doesn't say that.
Doesn't say it shouldn't.
What about the
If a
before?
person- Same
You have
thing.
to say to the before, I'm not going to give you double.
You could say
Like
I
a
give you my tongue.
so
Yeah.
before could be
Oh,
allowed
allowed to?
You're allowed to.
But it's kind of against what the Torah wants. The Torah seems to want
All the
the
kids
before
should
to get double.
Right here. You're asking a good question.
So, I mean, like, you can do it, but it's like, that's what the Torah wants. Like, the Torah wants us to get rid of all the chametz, for Pesach. That would be better than if we sold it.
No,
It would not be
you're
better.
right. It's not. It's the same thing. Sell it or that. If you do,
Ideally.
there is sometimes the spirit of the Torah.
Yeah.
So, example, our sages say in the spirit of the Torah is if someone asks you to sign a will, and you see that in the will there's a child cut out, you
Right.
shouldn't sign the will.
Right.
Don't sign that will.
Right.
Don't sign that will. But if the Chazal never said but if it's equitable, you see that the father asked his kids, you know what, I want you to split it equally. Chazal never said that. They say even if that son is a bad son, and he's not doing any mitzvahs, and the father's angry and he wants to cut him out from his will, he has the right to do that, the father. But you shouldn't sign such a will, because our sages say we're not happy that such a will should happen. But if a father decides to equally split, or a mother want to equally that, different. The person wants to. It's a different thing.
And also for the mother.
Her mother's the same thing.
No, but like, if the father
I hear
is
you,
going to sign out the
That
mother.
the thing, sign her out.
Yeah, sign her
No,
out.
that our sages didn't talk about that.
You mean he could do it?
Isn't she entitled to the state?
She's entitled to a lot of things that there's nothing he can do about. She has a ksuba, so she's entitled to plenty. She has a lien over all his properties for all the food and clothing and the shelter she needs for the rest of her life. So she's set. She's taken care of. So this is what this is the thing. When a person writes a star that he will give, there's no kinyan, nothing happened. A person can change that contract 100 times. The question is if it's ethical or not ethical to do. In other words, the kinyan didn't happen yet. That's, tomorrow I'm going to sell you a bottle of milk. I'm not going to sell it. I am going to sell it. I'm not going to sell it. You can say that 300 times. It makes no difference. Until the sale happened, nothing happened. As long as this woman is alive, this gift or inheritance, however, whatever it is, but it doesn't happen until a moment before the death, or a moment after the death, or at the moment of the death. A lot of longus here.
So it's not
But
considered alive.
So the question is if it's not ethical. Here is where I want to show you an interesting example. Look in the second piece. Again, the Sheilos and the Tshuva. You're in Ambam Hilchas Mechira Peirik Zayin Halacha Aleph Beis. Mishinos Nadam and Melamot Shachapir. A person that paid money for something, but he didn't do the kinyan of Mashiach. He paid for a bag of apples, and he didn't pick up the bag of apples. He didn't drag the bag of apples. Even though, as we explained, the kinyan did not take place. Our sages didn't want that when you pay, that the kinyan should happen. They said nothing happens until the buyer pulls the bag of apples, takes the bag of apples. The sale didn't happen. However, once the money was already, was a transaction of money. He didn't do a Jewish thing. What's Mishapora mean? They curse him in Bezdin. There was no kinyan, so the person could change his mind. The buyer or the seller both could change their mind. But it's unethical. So much so unethical is machayev to kabel mishapora. That the two parties go to Bezdin, and Bezdin makes a big declaration. They say the same God that took revenge of the evil people and the Mabul, the Afloga, and the Mitzrayim, and Sodom V'Amora will punish the people who don't keep their word. Because here there was a money transaction, but the kinyan didn't happen yet. Now one party wants to stop it, so Bezdin can't do anything. There was no transaction. The apple belongs to the seller, and the money belongs to the buyer, so he takes his money back. But there is a mishapara, there's a curse that the person receives. Next, much later in that Halacha Nama, a person that does business, mazel bracha, like Jewish business. They're not making kinyan. They're just,
It's a word.
It's a word. That even though he could renege the deal because there was nothing. A deal could be as small as a handshake. That's in this country, a handshake means a kinyan, and a handshake, that's it. It's done. But they didn't do a handshake. They just said, okay, you sell, buy, okay, fine, deal. So there was no kinyan. The person could change his mind.
With the handshake.
will.
You need two witnesses to it.
No, you don't need two witnesses. You only need two witnesses in transactions if someone's denying or someone's lying. But if both parties
How
are
do you know
honest,
if he's going to lie or not? Do we know that?
it's always good to have witnesses. The fact is that transaction doesn't need two
Record the
witnesses.
conversation.
Record or writing
No,
on
just
paper.
record.
Yeah,
Record it.
right. But now, in this case, a person wants to change his mind. He doesn't take a mishapara. Because over here, it's not ethical, but it's not as bad as a mishapara. Mishapara is when I gave money, and now technically there was no kinyan. But here, it was just speech. That's cheap. The speech is cheap. But however, we say he doesn't get a curse, but Chachamim
Not happy with it.
not happy with it. They're not going to give him after Yoim.
If he's going to pay.
If he pays, they'll probably give it to him. Will they give it to him if he pays?
Huh? That's what he's asking. I don't know. I'm not in charge. Person says, I'm giving you a gift. I'm giving you a gift. I'm giving you a beautiful coffee mug. I'm giving you a gift. I'll give it to you next week.
This is why I always say, he
didn't give. That's called Mechusar Amon. It's unethical. That's a kinyan mu'ed. If I tell you I'm going to give you a mug, I'm going to give you a dozen bagels. If I tell you I'm going to give you my car. So then, that's not, there's no such thing as ethical. It's like a joke. People say, I'm going to...
Because it's exaggerated?
It's exaggerated. It's exaggerated. Because it's exaggerated, it's like, it's like saying I'm going to give you $1 million. If I win the lottery, if I have $100 million, I'll give you $1 million. It's not serious. So back to our question. So there's other things. I mean, obviously there's coercion here. There was a little bit of mental coercion. There was a little. But just down to the dry bones. Even if there was no coercion and there was nothing unethical from the daughter towards the mother, the mother promised the daughter to give her an apartment. The apartment is worth, I don't know exactly the dollar amount, but I would say it's definitely the category of a matona meruba, a big matona. It's It's not a mug. It's not a box of chocolates. It's not a watch. It's an apartment in Florida. It's worth whatever it's worth. $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
She promised it. She told her, I give you something for it. I'm going to take care of you. That's
But
what
the
she
daughter
did.
wasn't taking care of her.
She wrote it
That-
down.
Huh?
She wrote it down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But even though she wrote it down, the Kenyan is not Chalyan. The Kenyan is no Chalois. It's nothing. It's like it's can be doing nothing. The shtar is a piece. Is a lots of piece of the Kenyan is only Chalei. Maybe I'm wrong. This is what I think. This is what I think. I don't think there's any name of Das issue. Huh? That's a separate issue. I think here anyway. That's why even if I'm wrong, it's another issue. Right. That's a separate thing. That's a separate thing. Right. That's a separate thing. But I'm saying even if the daughter was taking good care of him, that's a separate thing. That's why anyway I think this is called, I think, a matana haruba. Give apartments, but it's not a matana luata. It's a big matana, an apartment in
That's
Florida.
for who?
Huh?
For me and for you, yeah. Some people, for them, it's like chocolate. That's for who, you know?
Okay. The Rabbi Shalom should give everyone sitting here a couple of such.
Yeah, like a chocolate to buy for the kinder house. Alle buy. Amen.
Why should that be a question?
Because she's under the impression,
She's not. She's going to let her daughter know. No, she's not going to not tell her daughter. She's going to tell her now. She's making a new will. Why would she not tell her daughter?
but she is going to be getting it to her.
She's not going to give it to her. She's not changing the will. She promised her that she's going to give her the entire apartment. Now she wants to go back to a lawyer and redraw the will and have it split up between all her children equally.
Tell somebody they're going to do something for them,
And you could tell someone you're going to give them a watch, and if you don't give it to them, then it's unethical. But if you tell someone you're going to give them $100,000, and then it means nothing. It means nothing.
Rob, I have a story. I have to say it because it's related to me. There's a woman coming to me for a lot of years, like Kabbalah, because she has two children, two different houses. They're betrayed. She called me one day, come with me to the lawyer. I want to write your name in my will. I don't want to cheat.
Smart boy.
Smart boy. So I asked my rabbi, he said, you did one of my favorites. She will not know if I will not call it. She wrote me in her will. A year later, I tried to put back her children with her, and Baruch Hashem was a success, and they're okay. So I thought I'd take me from the will. She said, I want to leave it. I said, take me from the will. I don't want your kids. It's okay. So I forced her to take me from the will. Today, 25 years later, I'm not okay. Something, I had her, and she stabbed me somewhere, you know. So you see how much more? She took me to a lawyer. And I have the lawyer paper, I have it home. Address, name, everything. When I am dying person, you know. Not only that, she gave me also a bank. And she has a safety bag. She took me, she showed me the number, and she was the only one that take care of me and everything. What is it?
Yeah, you did the right thing.
I think I did the right thing.
You did the right thing. 1,000,000% you did the right thing. You did the right thing, and the Rabbi Shalom has deep pockets. Deeper than this lady, Alan.
Since the daughter, the way you described it, didn't do her part of the bargain,
Right.
that wouldn't enable the mother to say, I need to adjust the will and
Oh,
rewrite
for
it.
sure, for sure. I'm just saying I'm one piece of the puzzle. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, that's another piece. But the daughter could argue, the daughter could say, oh yeah, you know, really good care. I'm just saying one piece of the puzzle. But yeah, for sure.
Why did he do the right thing?
Huh?
Why did he do the right thing?
Why did he do the right thing? As I said before, our sages are not happy when a person doesn't give their inheritance to their children. Our sages are very unhappy about that. Why?
No, I understand.
Our sages are very unhappy when a person doesn't give his inheritance to his children. A person has a right. A person can give a matana to whoever he wants. A lot of people give a big chunk of tzedakah, and that's fine. A nice big chunk of tzedakah, but to give everything and to leave their children with nothing, our sages are not happy with that. Sages are not happy with that. because that you're right. That could be because the spirit of the Torah is that a person should give over their inheritance to their children. The details, he's giving a little more to his wife. He wants the children to be happy. He wants to give the daughter. Chazal are not micromanaging what you're doing.
Some gives you the dough. Right.
Right. That's crazy. Okay, so one more little nakuda about this. There's a set of books, Machanayim. If children have any of the Machanayim books, they're old. When we were kids, they were very. They have them in English now, translated. Huh? I grew up with Yiddish anyway. Yiddish is my first language. So I grew up with the Machanayim books. One book that had probably such a strong impression on me. There's a story about a person who had an elderly father. And he was a rich man, he had his elderly father at his table. And the father, Nebuch, was really old, his hands were shaking, and it was always, things were spilling and things were breaking. This guy got fed up and kicked his father out of his house. So his son asks his father, talks to his father, and he says, oh yeah, these are the Machanayim books. He says, Daddy, can you give me an old coat you have? So he has a couple old coats. He gives him an old coat. Kid takes a scissor and cuts it in half. Cuts it through the lengthwise, half. And he walks out of the house. So he comes back later, and the father said, "What happened?" He said, "Come, I'll show you what I did." He takes with his father. The grandfather was never a beggar now, so it was cold. So he was sitting at a street corner, and now he's wearing this coat, but only half the coat. So the father says to his son, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're giving him a half a coat only?" He says, "Yes, the other half of the coat I'm leaving for you when I kick you out of my house when I'm older." So the father gets the message, and he does tshuva, and he asks his father for forgiveness, and he brings it back to his house.
Tailored the coat back together.
So nice story, huh?
Is this a true story? It's a Musa.
Usually, yes. Usually the stories of the Machanayim are true. Could be this is an old fable. Could be it's an old Jewish story that they picked up. You know what I mean? Like a mashal. Usually the stories are very, very on target. They're authentic Jewish stories. And the pictures also, an old Yiddiva they had came out of Russia. That was making the pictures for them. They're quite good. Okay. So the Eibush Shalom, it's not, as I said, Shabbos, not always it's easy to do the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. Some parents make it easy, and some parents don't make it so easy. But for sure, the schus of kibbud av v'em that we do, that our children will learn from us, in Mitzvah Hashem. Exactly. And our children will learn from us how to do the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. One more thing, we have 5 minutes, let's try to do it fast. The shaykh is also to what we're learning now in Beichas Hanen. The Shulchan Aruch says an interesting halacha. The Shulchan Aruch says that if a person says Hashem's name and he realizes, he starts saying Baruch Atah Shahak, he says, what do you mean? I already made Shahak 1 orange juice, right? I had in mind this for everything, and anyway, a drink and a drink. He knows already everything. We learned already. Beichas Hanen yesterday. It's Baruch Atah, but he said Hashem's name. I shouldn't say Hashem's name in vain. What should he do? So the Shulchan Aruch says there's 2 eitzes. If you just say Baruch Atah Hashem, so then you say Lamdeinu Chukechem, because the pasuk Tehillim Kuf Yutes Baruch Atah Hashem Lamdeinu Chukechem. So you didn't say Hashem's name in vain. You just said a pasuk Baruch Atah Hashem Lamdeinu Chukechem. But if you said Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu, it's no pasuk Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu or what? It's a bracha Baruch Atah again. But you realize now that this bracha is nothing. It happens all the time. Oh, they really made the bracha. We start making bracha and say 100 brachas a day, So, I already made Shiyot a few minutes ago. What am I saying? It happens, right? So then you say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam Va'od, to sanctify Hashem's name. it's interesting, and I saw this once in a safe, but I couldn't find where I found it. But the board is a beautiful board. So the Rambam doesn't bring this Lamdeinu Chukecha thing. The Rambam just brings Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elam Board. This Lamdeinu Chukecha is an Ashkenazic invention. I'm joking. Ashkenazic is Shulchan Aruch brings it. Also the Machaber brings it, but it's an invention from the Rosh. But the Rambam doesn't bring it. Why? So look inside. Take 2 minutes. You see it's a beautiful longest. Look in the third piece. It says Lois Asher Shem Lakem Lakechem. Sheilos is about Lamdeinu Chukecha. Look in the Rambam. Rambam Brachas. It's the last piece here. The last 3 paragraphs. Brachas Perikal Lochayu. Ema Baruch Malachim Malachim Lamashkim Lamashkim Mashav Lefonav. You don't make the bracha until the food or drink is in front of you. You made the bracha and then they brought you the food or drink. So you have to make the bracha again. If you took the food and you made the blessing and then it fell out of your hand, if you take another thing, then you have to make another bracha. Because the bracha was on this thing, and this thing fell out into the river, or fell into the sand, you have to make another bracha. These details are lochas we're dealing with Shabbos. So just wanted the last line here. He doesn't want to have Shem Shemayim Lavatol. Shulchan Aruch Kosav, the Shulchan Aruch the Machaber writes, not only the B'nei Loch Leberich Lav Nafel B'nei Lev the Dinah Sarah Laz Lavarach. Tzorich Loimer, Baruch Shem Kved Mochutzel Lavatol, Shoyt Shem Shemayim Lavatola. Mimamik Shenafel Baruch Atah Hashem V'lo Yomer Alekein. V'yisayim V'yemel Av Derech Kecha Shenira Kekoy Deposik Vein Kamoyt Shem Shemayim Lavatola. So I saw once in a sefer, as I said, I don't remember where, but it's a beautiful longness. That if you look again at the diuk, the Lashon the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch, you'll see a remarkable thing. The last 2 lines of the Rambam. The Rambam says, "V'tzorich lo b'Baruch Shem Kavod Mechutz Ha'olam Ba'ed Al Bracha L'Shoyna." What's the next word? Kidei Shaloi Lo'itz Shem Shemayim Lavtola. By saying Baruch Shem, this way you didn't say Shem Shemayim for no reason. Sanctified Hashem's name. He said, "Baruch Hashem." Look in the Shulchan Aruch, the last 2 lines, last 3 lines. V'tzorich loimer, Baruch Hashem kavod malchus l'olam va'ed. What's the next word? Al shehoytz Hashem shemayim v'atola. What does that mean? What does that mean?
You did it.
No. So, from the Shulchan Aruch, from the Rambam, it sounds when you say Baruch Hashem, there's no more Shem Shemayim Levatol. Kedei Shaloi Loitzi. The Rambam is saying, if you said Hashem's name and then you say Baruch Hashem, Hashem's name was not said in vain. You say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu, Baruch Hashem Kavod Malchus Ha'olam. God is great. He's greater than great. You didn't say Shem Shemayim Levatol. Baruch Hashem is Kedei Shaloi Loitzi Shem Shemayim Levatol. So who needs this other trick of Lamdeinu Chukecha? This is the best trick, and the truth is, the last piece you see, the Yerushalmi. Looks at the last 2 lines. Amarev Tanchem by Yudim. Sorich Lema Barshem Kavod Malchus Ha'olam Shem Shemayim Levatol. The Gemara Beferish tells me the Eitz of Baruch Hashem. The Gemara never tells me Lamdeinu Chukecha. So the Rambam says, why invent my own things? According to the Rambam, when you say Baruch Hashem, Hashem's name was not said in vain. But according to the Shulchan Aruch, Hashem's name was already said in vain. It's just that you're doing tshuva. The question is, when the Yerushalmi said you say Baruch Hashem, what is it? Is it that it makes retroactively that Hashem's name was not said in vain? Because I'm praising Hashem's name and saying Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu. Blessed are you, the Lord our God. Baruch Hashem Kavod Malchus Ha'olam. It's a full sentence. So retroactively, nothing was said in vain. That's with the Rambam more. So who needs this Lamdeinu Chukecha business? That's great. You always say Baruch Hashem Kavod Malchus Ha'olam. But the Shulchan Aruch holds that you say Baruch Hashem as a tshuva. Al shoytz Shem Shemayim Lavatola. It's like doing tshuva. Oh, he said, "Oh, if you only said the 3 words Baruch Atah Hashem, do better. Just say Lamdeinu Chukecha." It's like you said a possible. It's as if you never did anything wrong. So that's even better.
It's Tokidei Dibor. Why don't you Shulchan Aruch?
Doesn't help Tokidei Dibor. Doesn't help Tokidei Dibor. Only helps Tokidei Dibor.
Where did you go wrong if you, a few moments later, continued your words and rectified it? Where did you go wrong? How did you say a bracha v'latala from the Shulchan Aruch? What's the name?
No. If you, according to the Rambam, the Rambam says the Yerushalmi tells me to say Baruch Hashem. Why should I make my own inventions? According to the Shulchan Aruch, it's When you say Baruch Hashem, you're doing tshuva. But if you could say Lamdeinu Chukecha, it's as if you never did anything wrong. So it's even better. It's even better. It's even better. But according to the Rambam, why do I need to say Lamdeinu Chukecha? Baruch Hashem is good enough. And that's what the Gemara said. So in other words, according to the Rambam, just stick to what the Gemara says to do. Baruch Hashem makes that Hashem's name is not.
Where's the Shulchan Aruch getting it from?
Shulchan Aruch holds that when the Gemara said that we should say, look at the words of Yishalmi, the Hashem doesn't explain itself. It just says, so the Rambam reads it, through that, Shem Shemayim was never said L'Vatola. Shulchan Aruch reads it, that you'd said Shem Shemayim L'Vatola, but you're doing tshuva.
That's what I'm asking. According to Shulchan Aruch, when were you saying Bracha L'Vatola according to Shulchan Aruch? At what moment did...
When you remember it, when you said Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam,
and
now
then
you
told
just...
you they deep or you rectified it, so what I'm suggesting...
How could you... There's no way to rectify it. The only way to rectify it is if you grab a bagel and say, I might say Lechem Min Haaretz right now.
So here you said Lamei Chukecha.
No, but once you say, if you say Baruch Atah Hashem, you can say Lamdeinu Chukecha.
Yeah.
But if you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, you can't say Lamdeinu Chukecha. There's no pasuk that goes like this. You're out of luck.
Once you say Elokeinu, you're out of luck.
Once you say Elokeinu, you're out of luck. According to the Rambam, you're never out of luck. Because it doesn't matter what you said. As if you said Hashem's name, and then you say Baruch Hashem, it's like going out in the street and declaring that Hashem is great.
So then it's already too late.
No, according to the Rambam, it's never too late. According to the Rambam, it's never too late.
So then what do you say?
Baruch Hashem, always Baruch Hashem.
Okay, so
Always say Baruch Hashem. Well, we don't do what the Rambam says, but I'm just explaining why the Rambam had, what was his logic. But we do like the Shulchan Aruch. If you just said Baruch Atah Hashem, you say Lamdeinu Chukecha. But if you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, you say Baruch Hashem Kohen Malchus Elad. That's second best. Because really you've already said Hashem's name sort of in vain.
Right.
But you're trying to patch up as much as you could. You're trying to patch it a little bit. You're patching it. But okay. But it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. So let's summarize. According to the Rambam, you always say Baruch Hashem Kohen Malchusay because you say Hashem's name and now you're declaring that Hashem's name is great. But according to the Shulchan Aruch, if you say Baruch Atah Hashem, you immediately say Lamdeinu Chukecha. It's as if you said a pasuk in the Tehillim. You say more words, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu. There's no other choice. Now you have to do like tshuva. So you say Baruch Hashem Kohen Malchusay Olam Void. The Eibush Shel Halfen, the schus of our learning Torah this morning, and the schus of all of Klal Yisrael, that everyone sitting here with the Chayei Klal Yisrael should connect to this week's Parsha, that everyone should have today a great day, a wonderful day, and a successful day.
See Mashiach Bekarov.
Amen.